On June 29 last, fishermen and women from across Guyana joined their stakeholder counterparts in the fishery sector for a day of celebration and due recognition of the contributions of the fisheries sector to Guyana's economy. The occasion was the annual Fisherfolk Day hosted by the Ministry of Agriculture, held this year at the Border Cricket Club in Georgetown. The theme of this year's event was promoting social responsibility to safeguard fisheries resources and livelihoods. Delivering the feature address at the event, Agriculture Minister Zulfikar Mustafa said government recognizes the importance of the fishery sector to not only the economy but to the social fabric of the Guyanese society.
Today, as we observe Fisherfolk's Day 2021, we celebrate and acknowledge the bravery, hard work, and sacrifices made by our fisherfolks who continue to contribute to Guyana food security. And in the Caribbean now, we are not only talking about Guyana, but we are talking about the Caribbean food security. And I want to commend, congratulate, and thank all the fisherfolks in our country in making that valuable contribution to this initiative.
According to Minister Mustafa, the fisheries sector contributes some 3% of agriculture GDP and 11.3 billion in export earnings, or 6% of total export earnings annually. In addition, more than 15,000 persons are directly or indirectly involved in the fisheries sector. In terms of production, the fisheries sector produced more than 36,000 metric tons of seafood, with Guyanese utilizing an average of 24 kilograms of seafood annually, the highest individual consumption in this part of the world. The Agriculture Minister lauded the efforts of Guyana's fisherfolk, assuring them that government recognizes and appreciates their efforts in the face of many challenges. He explained that it is for this reason that since taking up the reins of the agriculture sector, the focus has been to address in a timely manner the many issues that have been faced by fisherfolk. These issues include not having safety nets for fisherfolk in times of need, financing bodies being reluctant to offer insurance coverage to certain classes of vessels, cases where no serious attempts were made to have fisherfolks registered with the National Insurance Scheme, all of which are engaging the attention of the government. The Agriculture Minister, however, lamented that for there to be positive growth within the sector, there must be unity of purpose in the operations of those within it. The Minister was at the time referring to the mooted creation of a Fisherfolk Fund for resort in emergencies by those contributing.
I understand that there was a fund that was mooted for fisherfolks, where fisherfolks would have had to contribute around $5,000 annually, so that fund could be a safety fund for fisherfolks who suffer problems in the course of their duty. But as Mr. Charles rightly said, we don't have consensus in the fishing industry. People don't want to make a contribution to these things that will benefit them in the future. We are not looking at the long-term gain, we are looking at the short-term gain. And as fisherfolks, I supported the idea that we have to have a united fishing industry. We can't have the number 66 doing something by themselves and Rosignol doing something by themselves, the trawlers doing their own thing, and then expect that we'll have a united body. We from the Ministry of Agriculture, we have a number of committees. We have the Guyana Fishery Advisory Committee. We have the Guyana Fisherfolks Committee that Mr. Jainarine is heading. I will love to receive recommendations from these bodies. As Minister, I have been trying my utmost to involve fisherfolks across this country. When I went to Suriname, I invited the number 66 Fisherman Squad to send a representative with us when we went a month ago. Minister of Foreign Affairs, Minister of Public Works, myself, and some other officials from the ministry. And we invited the 66 Squad to be a part of that team that went to Suriname to have negotiation and licenses for the fishermen.
According to Minister Mustafa, Government has, in a short space of time, been able to resolve a number of outstanding issues plaguing the sector.
We were able to get the GPL to resolve a long outstanding issue that was plaguing the fisherman's co-op at number 66 prior to August of last year. We have been working very closely with co-ops around the country, with fisherfolks across the country. This year, we'll be expending close to $63 million to do capital works for fishing industries across our country. We have seen a removal of VAT on fishing gears and equipment. These things become cheaper now since we have removed the VAT on fishing gears and equipment. We have lowered license fees by reverting to the fees that were applicable in 2014. So we have reversed the increase in fees. We will be opening new offices to service fisherfolks across the country, places like Region 3, Region 9, Region 10.
Government is also working on the resuscitation of a number of fishermen's co-ops around the country, and the meetings to this end are ongoing with those involved. The Agriculture Minister also spoke of government's plan to expand and re-energize the aquaculture industry here.
This year, we have had a number of unorganized farmers across the country where they have been using their skills and resources to produce species in the aquaculture industry. As a government, we want now to create and launch that industry. We want to move from production this year from 250,000 kilograms to 500,000 kilograms by December of this year. We already have a committee working to do capital works to assist fisherfolks, aquaculture farmers around the country. We are now improving the Satadilsa aquaculture station at Manripo. We are doing capital works in Essequibo to improve the aquaculture industry there. And what we plan to do, we are not leaving it alone. We'll be building a nursery where we will be supplying these species to the farmers, where we will give them the kind of advice, where we will be supplying the fingerlings to these farmers. So those investments we will be having this year.
Also speaking during the formal aspect of the day's activities was FAO's Guyana representative, Dr. Gillian Smith, who congratulated the fisherfolk for their sterling achievements despite the challenges of the times. Dr. Smith posited that the theme of this year's event coincides with the commitment and contributions of fisherfolk to enhance livelihoods and, consequently, reducing hunger and poverty.
The theme also promotes social responsibility that safeguards the fish stocks on which we're all dependent. Safeguarding these fish stocks against habitat loss, pollution, and the effects of climate change. Fish, of course, forms a very nutritious part of our diet. And here in Guyana, we're exceedingly lucky that we have fish stocks that contribute in such a significant way to the diet that we have. Over the past decade, we know globally that fish consumption has grown significantly. And on average at the moment, it's about 20 kilos per person per year. However, since the pandemic hit, consumer earning and spending has become restricted, along with the lockdowns and how they have affected hotels and restaurants. We are seeing a disruption in the supply chains globally and a reduction in the demand overall for fish. This comes in addition to all of the issues that you know and you know very well, and that Mr. Janarine has outlined very well for us as well.
According to Dr. Smith, a significant number of women are involved in Guyana's fisheries sector, and this is something to be celebrated. The FAO representative pledged the continued support of her organization to the sector and to agriculture in general in Guyana.
FAO would like to continue along our commitment to work directly with you, to work with the Ministry of Agriculture and the Fisheries Department, and to continue to enhance your development agenda for fisheries. Some of the projects that we have ongoing have been severely affected by COVID-19. However, we still continue to try and support the work that is being done to ensure that the Port State Measures Agreement is put into effect so that it helps to improve and to secure and safeguard your livelihoods. Under the Steward Fish program, there has been a microgrant scheme in which the National Fisherfolk organization has benefited from a grant that is providing capacity building in leadership, administration, planning, accounts, as you had mentioned, and some of the other operational skills that are very important to ensure that your organizations are able to sit at the table and make the kind of representation that is needed to ensure that your livelihoods are safeguarded.
Other speakers at the formal launch of the annual Fisherfolk Day included the chairman of the number 66 Village Fishermen's Co-op Society, Mr. Parmeshwar Jainarine, and the president of the Guyana Association of Trawler Owners and Seafood Processors, Mr. Reuben Charles.